The Nugget. So here we are, folks. The Nugget. The first ever Nugget. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I thought I'd do it starting today. So here we go. After each episode, what I'm going to do is, if it's right for the episode, I'm going to put in a nugget. And a nugget is kind of a little secret that didn't make it into the episode, which I think is really interesting. So, if you were listening to episode 255 of Murder Mile UK True Crime Podcast, the other Ronald True, I kind of made an illusion at the end, didn't I, about that he said there wasn't just one Ronald True, there were two. Oh, big shock. Well, there is two Ronald Trues. So the police just didn't the police didn't just say, fine, he's saying there's two Ronald Trues, it may not have happened, let's carry on. It was actually true. So they actually went hunting out to try and find the other Ronald True. They found Ronald Alfred True, an antiques dealer, worked at 41 Duke Street in Mayfair. Born in and around the same time as Ronald. His father was a stockbroker. That Ronald, the other Ronald True, would say, as far as I know, I've never met a man called Ronald True who is now in custody for murder. This Ronald True was educated at Harrow, what? Joined the Royal Sussex Regiment on the 11th Battalion, demobbed October 1919, and was a captain and was stationed in the Balkans. Now you would think, well, that's fine. Police have just gone through a yellow page, a phone book, and gone, oh, there's a Ronald True, let's call him up. But when he was stationed in the Balkans, he received a letter from a lady friend of his who was worried because she'd read in the newspapers that Ronald True had been injured in a flying accident. And this isn't one of the crashes that our Ronald True, inverted commas, Major Ronald True, said that happened to him when he was training to be a pilot. This is when he was a test pilot. So she actually, she was worried. She came to visit him and said, oh, I thought you were injured. And he was like, no, I'm not injured at all. So there was a crossover in and around, I think it was 1917. So there was a crossover at that point where this Ronald True, the one from Mayfair, the antiques dealer, actually met the other Ronald True. But he would actually say, as far as I know, I've never met that Ronald True. But February 1922. So this Ronald True, this is, you can see why I didn't put it in the episode. Gets confusing. This Ronald True, the antiques dealer in Mayfair, February 1922. He was part of the Murray's Club in Mayfair, which is kind of an exclusive club that kind of highfalutin people would go to. And our Ronald True posed as him. He would come up to the club. As mentioned in this episode, we've got the kind of the gentleman's word that I mentioned, and that was, if you were, I'm a gentleman, I went to a good college and my parents are wealthy, I have money and a title. If that was you, therefore, you could get away with anything. You could literally turn up at a hotel and go, book me into this hotel tonight, and can I have £1,000 on credit as well? And they would give that to you because apparently you're a gentleman, therefore you never lie. But as we know, our Ronald True does, and many would. So he'd turn up at the Murray's Club, book himself in, rack up some debts, turn round to the cashier and go, I've got some cheques here, can you cash them for me? And they'd give him the cash equivalent. So the antiques dealer, Ronald True, the other Ronald True, he was actually out of pocket owing to another Ronald True, which they never found, which turned out to be our Ronald True. Holy moly, this gets very exciting, doesn't it? So, he also said, so police were able to track him down, they were able to get statements off him and some bank details as well. And he said, I was informed that he, Ronald True, was looking for me and threatened to shoot me with a revolver. I heard no more of it until he was arrested for murder. Core exciting. See, half of me wanted to do another episode just on the other Ronald True, but there wasn't enough to do that. This Ronald True, they also checked he'd never met Gertrude Yates before, and on the day of the murder, he also had an alibi for that, a very watertight alibi as well. The police had to double check that because that was our Ronald True's alibi. So, he said there was another Ronald True, the other Ronald True. There was also the other Ronald True. So this isn't just the police going through the phone book. This is another Ronald True. So and this is interesting. This is one that our Ronald True never mentioned at all. In fact, when you go through most of his statements, he doesn't mention it at all. It's only when you go through the police files that you actually realise that there is the other Ronald True. And he's not really called Ronald True, but you'll see why. This Ronald True is called Victor Philip True, and he's Ronald's twin brother. Oh, shock! I know, exciting, isn't it? It's really exciting. So there we go. It was his twin brother. He lived in Seaford, so it's likely that they would have bumped into each other because it was in Seaford that our Ronald True was sent to kind of clean up his drug problem, and where he was diagnosed with his mental health problems as well. Both of these Ronald Trues, both of these Mr. Trues were subpoenaed to attend trial. Their lifestyles are very similar. So both were over 6 foot tall, between 6'1" and 6'2", light brown hair, well built, blue-grey eyes and clean shaven. So, as you can expect, being twins, they're almost identical. They're not quite identical twins, but they are almost identical twins. Both our Ronald True and his twin brother Victor were injured in the war. Both demobbed around the same time. They were both lame in the same leg, but for different reasons. His twin brother, so that's Victor, had difficulty walking because he'd been shot in the pelvis in France. Ooh, he was serving overseas. He was a serving soldier. Our Ronald True, as you've heard from the story, he wasn't serving overseas at all, and his injury was owing to either syphilis or gonorrhea. As expected, the police checked their alibis. This Victor True, i.e. the other Ronald True, because he's an identical twin, they checked out his background. He was in Seaford at the time of the murder, and again, he didn't know Gertrude Yates at all. So that covers that. Even though that was the alibi, which our Ronald True gave, both of these, inverted commas, Ronald Trues were entirely innocent. And it was the police actually believed that it was more likely that Ronald True, he wouldn't be looking in the mirror and seeing another Ronald True and saying that's him. It was just, it's an entirely fictional character that he 100% believed was absolutely true. So there you go, folks. That was the Nugget. A little goodie that I thought you'd enjoy. It's not really essential to the story, but I thought you'd like it. So who knows? If there's another one in next week's episode, you might have a little nugget next Friday. Ooh.